You are here because you feel financially suffocated. But what I'm about to reveal goes far beyond money. I'm going to break down the exact psychological framework designed to keep you exactly where you are. Society tells you that poverty is just a lack of resources. They tell you that if you work hard, save small amounts, and wait patiently for an opportunity, you will eventually rise. That is a lie. Poverty is not a financial state. It is a behavioral prison. It is a psychological condition engineered by those in power to ensure you never become a threat. Niccolo Machiavelli understood the brutal mechanics of rising through society. He left behind a formula for escaping the bottom. A formula so ruthless that modern society buried it. Once you see the invisible bars holding you in place, you can never unsee them, and you will finally understand how to unlock them. The illusion of moral superiority. We are about to perform surgery on a tumor that society planted in your mind when you were a child. It is one of the most effective psychological weapons ever created to keep the masses passive. The belief that being poor makes you righteous. Listen to the narratives you were fed. Money is the root of all evil. Wealthy people are greedy and corrupt. There is honor in honest hard work, even if it pays nothing. These are not universal truths. They are sedatives. They are stories designed to stop the working class from revolting against those who hold power. If you convince a man that his suffering gives him moral purity, he will never fight back. He will sit quietly in his misery, polishing his sense of superiority while strategists dominate the world. Thomas Sowell, in his analysis of wealth and poverty, exposes this harsh reality. Wealth is not a moral trait, it is the result of structured production. Poverty is not virtue, it is a lack of leverage. As long as you secretly associate goodness with being poor, you will never escape. Your subconscious is built to protect you. It will not allow you to gain something you deeply believe is evil. If you think rich people are monsters, you will sabotage every opportunity that could make you one of them. Machiavelli despised this kind of weakness. He observed how institutions of his time preached humility and poverty to the masses, while elites accumulated armies and wealth. He knew that to hold power in a chaotic world, you cannot operate on illusions. You must operate on reality. The reality is simple. Poverty does not make you a better person. It makes you vulnerable. It makes you anxious. It forces you to tolerate disrespect from people you despise. It strips your family of security. There is nothing noble about watching someone you love suffer because you cannot afford a solution. Poverty is a disease, and treating it like a badge of honor is why you remain infected. You must destroy the victim inside you. You must cut the emotional tie that links your lack of money to your sense of goodness. The world does not reward moral posturing. It respects competence. It rewards those who solve problems and understand leverage. So what happens when you finally let go of the illusion? What happens when you realize you need leverage? You run directly into another trap, the one that looks like an escape. The conquest of fortuna, the predator's advantage. This is the core of the Machiavellian formula. The concept that separates rulers from the ruled. Most people living in poverty exist in a state of waiting. They wait for a promotion. They wait for the economy to improve. They wait for luck, for someone to save them, for a miracle. This is the mindset of prey. You are waiting for the environment to decide your fate. Machiavelli called this environment fortuna, luck, chance, the unpredictable river of life. He said fortuna is like a flooding river that destroys everything in its path. The weak pray for mercy. The strong build defenses while the skies are clear. To escape poverty, you must stop behaving like prey. You must adopt the mindset of a predator. A predator does not wait for opportunity to appear. A predator studies the terrain. A predator identifies weakness. A predator strikes with calculated force. This requires a trait Machiavelli called virtù, not moral goodness, not kindness. Virtù is the raw, unbreakable will to impose your vision onto reality. It is ambition fused with strategy. Look at history. Look at Castruccio Castracani, one of Machiavelli's fascinations. Castruccio was born an orphan in Lucca. He started with nothing. He was at the very bottom of the social hierarchy. He did not rise by hoping the system would notice him. He rose by studying power itself. He aligned himself with forces that had leverage. He mastered warfare. He created opportunities instead of waiting for them. He did not serve the system. He studied it until he understood how to break it and rebuild it in his favor. Ray Dalio reflects this same idea in modern terms, clear-eyed realism. The wealthy do not see the world as it should be. They see it exactly as it is. They map out how everything moves. Escaping poverty requires this cold, objective thinking. You must view systems, money, and relationships as tools to be engineered. You must stop expecting fairness. Fairness is an illusion taught to children. The market does not care if you are exhausted. It does not care if you are unlucky. It only respects value. You must become aggressive in pursuing leverage. You must hunt for asymmetric advantages. This shifts you from defense to offense. You are no longer surviving. You are conquering. But how do you hunt when you are drained, when you are exhausted just from existing? This leads us to the most uncomfortable truth of all: the discipline of destruction. You look at successful people and assume they have discipline that you lack. You tell yourself you are lazy, unfocused, a victim of procrastination. That is a lie. You are not undisciplined. You are incredibly consistent. You have built an unbreakable discipline for staying poor. Think about it. Every single day, you execute the exact habits required to maintain your current reality. You never fail. You consistently choose easy dopamine over difficult growth. You precisely spend your paycheck the moment it arrives. You perfectly repeat the routine of complaining about the system. The compound effect is a law of reality. Darren Hardy explains how small, consistent actions build into massive results over time. But the compound effect does not care whether your habits are good or bad. It simply multiplies whatever you feed it. Every time you choose distraction, you are not just wasting time. You are investing in your own failure, and that investment grows with interest. People at the bottom do not realize they are master builders. They are just building prisons instead of palaces. Machiavelli understood that humans are creatures of habit, often to their own downfall. He wrote that a ruler must adapt to the times or be destroyed. You have adapted to losing. You have made peace with being at the bottom. You must stop trying to build discipline. You already have it. You must redirect the force of your consistency away from self-sabotage and aim it toward escape. Start treating your daily choices with intensity. Every dollar spent without return is a shot fired at your future. Every hour wasted on meaningless entertainment is time handed to your enemies. You must destroy the habits keeping you broke with the same intensity you would use against an intruder in your home. Because they are intruders, they are stealing your life. Is it only your habits holding you back? No. The final lock on your cage is controlled by the people closest to you. The gravity of the underclass. You are trying to climb upward. You are gaining grip. You are pulling yourself higher, but there are weights attached to you. Those weights have identities. They have faces. They are your friends. They are your family. They are the people you grew up with. In his discourses on Livy, Machiavelli analyzed the dynamics of groups and factions. He understood that humans are tribal by nature. We adapt to the standard of our environment. If you live in an environment where poverty is normal, then poverty has its own culture, its own language, and its own rules of control. There is a deep, hidden resentment among the poor toward anyone who tries to escape. They will not confront you directly. They will use something more subtle, mockery, and fake concern. When you choose to read instead of wasting time, they laugh. When you say you want to build something, they warn you about risks. Most businesses fail, they say. Don't lose what little you have. They disguise their sabotage as care. But it is not care, it is fear. Your ambition exposes their resignation. If you succeed, it destroys the narrative they have built their lives on. It proves poverty is not permanent, which means their situation is their responsibility. They cannot carry that truth, so they pull you back down to protect their illusion. This is the psychological barrier that traps most people. They cannot handle the loneliness of leaving their tribe. Thomas Sowell explains that the transfer of mindset, habits, and knowledge matters more than the transfer of money itself. If your environment spreads defeat, you must detach from it. This sounds harsh. It is. Machiavellian thinking demands that you see human nature without emotional filters. You cannot save everyone. If you try to stay and lift them, they will drag you down. You must master the skill of silence. Stop announcing your plans. Stop seeking advice from people who have never built anything. You do not share ambition with those committed to mediocrity. You must become a ghost in your former life. You smile, you nod, you stay polite, but internally, you've already left. Mentally, you've packed your bags. You're operating on a completely different frequency now. Escaping poverty is not gentle, it is violent. It is a rebellion against your past, your conditioning, and often your own bloodline. It demands that you become cold enough to walk away from the familiar comfort of shared struggle. The trap of linear labor. You were given a formula early on. Go to school, get a job, keep your head down, outwork everyone around you, take overtime, grind endlessly, and eventually the system will reward you. This is the virtue of a slave. The system is not built to reward your effort. It is built to extract it. If hard work alone created wealth, the richest people on earth would be construction workers and manual laborers. Niccolo Machiavelli understood the distinction between tactics and strategy. Hard work is just a tactic, but if your strategy is flawed, all you're doing is speeding up your own downfall. Working 80 hours a week for hourly pay is linear labor. You're exchanging a limited resource, your life, for a fixed and heavily taxed return. You cannot scale your physical presence. Eventually, you will run out of time or destroy your health. Ray Dalio built one of the most powerful financial empires not by working harder physically, but by seeing reality clearly. He understood that wealth is created through nonlinear systems: code, capital, media, intellectual property, scalable teams, systems that continue working even when you are not. If you are trying to escape poverty by asking for extra shifts, you are digging through a mountain with a spoon. You will end up exhausted, and progress will be insignificant. Brookings Institution highlights the psychological barriers to upward mobility. One of the biggest is limited cognitive bandwidth. When your mind is consumed by survival, by rent, by bills, you lose the ability to think long-term. You become trapped in the urgency of the present. You must forcefully create mental space. You must stop asking how to work harder and start asking how to separate your income from your time. You need leverage. You need an asymmetric advantage, a skill that is difficult to learn, valuable in the market, and scalable. This is the cold equation of escaping poverty. The market does not pay for effort. It pays based on how replaceable you are. If someone can replace you in 2 weeks, you will always struggle. You must become irreplaceable. You must become an anomaly in their system. The moment you shift from selling time to selling leverage, everything changes. The exhaustion of the working class transforms into calculated execution. Since childhood, you were trained to avoid pain. You were taught that financial struggle is shameful, that being broke is something to hide, so you run. You avoid checking your bank account. You deny your reality. You numb your anxiety with cheap distractions. But as long as you run from the pain, it controls you. The Machiavellian mind uses pain. It turns it into a weapon. When you cannot provide properly, when you feel humiliated by your situation, do not suppress that feeling. Do not numb it. Refine it. Anger is powerful fuel. If left uncontrolled, it destroys you. But if harnessed, if compressed and directed, it becomes an engine that launches you forward. The elites want you sedated. They want you consuming empty content, eating mindless food, and living in passive acceptance. A sedated man does not plan. A sedated man does not dominate. You must wake up and confront your reality. Look at where you stand. Feel the weight of it. Let the discomfort hit you until it solidifies into a decision. I will not live like this again. When you detach your ego from your situation, you stop defending it. You stop making excuses. You face yourself and accept the truth. I am here because my strategy failed. I am here because I followed rules designed to limit me. That realization kills the old version of you, and it hurts. You are shedding an identity you've carried your entire life. It leaves you exposed, uncomfortable, vulnerable, but it is necessary to build stronger armor. You cannot heal while the knife remains inside. And the knife holding you back is the illusion that the system is broken. The system is not broken. It works exactly as intended. It is designed to keep you producing maximum labor for minimal reward. Poverty itself is profitable. Your debt fuels banks. Your addiction to distractions fuels tech companies. Your exhaustion ensures you never organize resistance. Machiavelli observed the aristocracies of Europe and saw that rulers did not depend on luck. They built systems that ensured their survival at the expense of others. If you want to escape the lower class, you must stop thinking like it and start thinking like a ruler. The consumption of anesthesia versus ammunition. Look at what you consume after your workday ends. You are drained. Your mind wants relief. So you sit down, open an app, watch something, play a game, and numb yourself. This is the modern pacifier. Ancient Roman rulers used bread and entertainment to control the masses. Today, the entertainment is endless, algorithm-driven, and perfectly engineered to keep you passive. You believe you are relaxing, but in reality, you are surrendering. Every hour spent consuming entertainment is an hour you could have spent gathering ammunition. The wealthy do not consume information the way you do. They consume strategically. They gather insight, leverage, and understanding. They study the environment. Niccolò Machiavelli wrote The Prince during exile. He had lost status, wealth, and influence, yet he did not spend his time complaining or distracting himself. He spent his nights studying history, analyzing powerful figures, and breaking down their strategies for control and survival. He turned his exile into a weapon. You must turn your poverty into one as well. You have to cut yourself off from the anesthesia. It will hurt. When you switch off the screen, the silence will force you to confront the harsh reality of your finances. Good. Let the panic hit you. Let it push you forward. Begin consuming information that challenges your current state. Study economics. Study persuasion. Study taxation systems. Study the darker side of negotiation psychology. You are entering a war against the economic machine, and right now, you're stepping onto that battlefield blindfolded, holding a plastic sword. Ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is poverty. Once you understand how the system operates, you stop getting crushed beneath it. But when you gain this knowledge, how do you use it when you have no status, no title? You deploy the most deceptive weapon in the Machiavellian arsenal, the illusion of the loyal servant. The corporate world, factories, service sectors, these are modern feudal systems, and they survive on a specific psychological trick, the illusion of family. We are a family here. We reward loyalty. Stay long enough and we'll take care of you. These are the same lies rulers once told peasants so they wouldn't demand ownership. If you are trying to escape poverty, blind loyalty to an employer is financial suicide. Your employer is not your family. They are simply the other side of a transaction. They are extracting more value from you than they pay you. Otherwise, your role wouldn't exist. That is the cold arithmetic of business. Yet people at the bottom take pride in being the most loyal worker. They brag about never missing a day. They boast about unpaid overtime. They believe this sacrifice will eventually be rewarded with success. It won't. It will only be rewarded with more responsibility. Niccolò Machiavelli stated that a ruler must never depend on the gratitude of others. Gratitude is temporary, and people discard it the moment their interests shift. The second a company needs to reduce costs, your loyalty means nothing. You are just a number on a spreadsheet. Stop acting like a loyal servant. Start thinking like a mercenary. A mercenary works for pay, but more importantly, for positioning, for skill acquisition, for strategic gain. You go to your job not only to earn money, but to extract value, learn their systems, master their tools, observe how they gain customers, study how leadership controls behavior, and build connections using their platform. You are operating as a strategist behind the scenes, collecting the resources and intelligence needed to eventually build your own structure. Once you remove emotional attachment from your job, you see it clearly, a temporary step, not a lifelong identity. You do not owe them your life. You owe them the labor outlined in your agreement, nothing more. Use them as they use you, the camouflage of assent. As you begin applying these principles, something subtle but dangerous will happen. You will start to accumulate a small surplus. This phase is critical. This is where most people fail. The moment someone from the lower class experiences a little money, what do? They buy luxury items. They finance expensive cars they cannot afford. They upgrade their lifestyle. They showcase their progress online. Why? Because the psychological damage of poverty runs deep. They feel the need to prove they are no longer poor. They purchase the appearance of wealth while sacrificing real wealth to do it. This is weakness. It is ego-seeking validation. Those who truly understand power avoid loud displays of new money. It only makes you a target. Niccolò Machiavelli advised that a ruler should appear ordinary while executing extraordinary strategies. Everyone sees what you appear to be, but very few understand what you truly are. As you rise, you must master camouflage. Practice silent wealth. Do not upgrade your lifestyle prematurely. Do not buy status symbols. Keep the same habits externally. Drive the same car. Live simply, but internally build. Accumulate resources quietly. Your money is not for validation. It is ammunition. It is your army, and you don't send your army to impress people. You send it to secure territory. By hiding your growth, you protect yourself from envy, from opportunists, from those who want to pull you back. You avoid relatives asking for money. You avoid friends expecting favors. You stay under the radar. Let them believe you are still struggling. Let them underestimate you. That underestimation becomes your advantage. While others spend to look wealthy, you invest to become powerful. Eventually, your growth will become visible, but by then, it will be too late for anyone to interfere. The structure will already be built. The final mechanism is the most brutal. You must destroy something you were taught to cherish. You must eliminate hope. Hope is the emotion of the powerless. It is passive. It waits for rescue. You hope things improve. You hope someone recognizes you. You hope life becomes easier. When you rely on hope, you hand control of your life to randomness. You are asking fate to favor you. Niccolo Machiavelli never preached hope. He wrote about action, force, and strategy. He understood that reality does not respond to hope. It responds to leverage. If you want to escape poverty, you cannot depend on hope. You must replace it with calculation and probability. You do not hope your plan works. You test it. You analyze it. You identify weaknesses and execute based on data. If it fails, you don't lose hope, because hope was never part of the process. You gather new data, adjust your approach, and act again. When hope is removed, disappointment disappears. You stop reacting emotionally when things go wrong because you already expected difficulty. You accept that reality is cold, indifferent, and unforgiving. This is not negativity. This is clarity. When a man has no hope, he is left with only his mind, his will, and his actions. He understands that if he is drowning, no one is coming to save him. He must build his own raft from whatever is available, or he will sink. That realization doesn't break you. It frees you. It removes the anxiety of waiting. It dissolves the resentment you carry toward the world for not saving you. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and you begin demanding, "How do I use this?" You become a machine driven by pure intent. Escaping poverty is far simpler than you've been led to believe, because the mechanics are already in your hands. The complexity is nothing but a smokescreen meant to intimidate you. This isn't about working yourself into exhaustion. It's about understanding the psychological structure of the game. You were playing checkers while the elite were playing chess. You were following rules of morality and loyalty that they created but never obeyed themselves. The moment you detach your identity from your financial condition, the moment you start seeing money as a tool instead of a reflection of your worth, everything changes. The illusion collapses. You are no longer the prey trembling in the river of fortuna. You become the one constructing the dam. Now you hold the Machiavellian formula. Abandon the idea that suffering makes you superior. Chase leverage instead of waiting for luck. Redirect your relentless consistency toward building assets. Cut off the toxic weights of your past environment. Move away from linear labor and step into scalable systems. Turn knowledge into a weapon. Exploit existing structures, conceal your growth, and replace the passive emotion of hope with the calculated power of strategy. It will be cold. It will be isolating. You will have to face yourself and destroy the version of you that has lived as a victim for years. But what is the alternative? To spend your life as a battery fueling someone else's empire. To pass down scarcity and limitation to the next generation. You now have the blueprint. The lock on the cage is broken. The door is open, but here is the truth most people cannot handle. They will see the open door, feel the cold responsibility outside, and quietly close it again. They will choose the familiar pain of confinement over the uncertainty of freedom. So the question remains, will you walk out or will you go back to sleep? This channel has already been hit by demonetization attempts designed to control what you think and keep you comfortable. The system fears this kind of awareness spreading. The algorithm is built to suppress ideas like this and keep feeding you distractions that feel good but lead nowhere. I'm not bending to that pressure. I'm going deeper, but I can't do this alone. I need your support to keep this mission alive. Check the link in the description and join me on Patreon. You'll unlock raw, unfiltered content, exclusive audio material, and deeper psychological frameworks that cannot be shared here. This is your opportunity to step beyond the illusion. Most people will ignore it and drift back into comfort. Don't be one of them.